Hey Trajectory team, all right, here's what we're going to talk about this week. All right, we're looking inside the garage, got the weights and stuff in there. I know this is trashy and stuff, but maybe even my wife says, why in the world do you do these videos to show your dirty old garage with your weights? Well, I got this board behind me, I got all kinds of stuff. This is where I normally do them, inside the garage. Every once in a while I get to do them somewhere else. So here, we just have to go through this. But hey, I want to talk to you today about a story I read years ago. Years ago I read this story. Hope that this is the truth. I really do. Looking into it, I read the story everywhere, but here's the story, and then there's stuff behind it. I want to talk about the stuff behind it. The story is this. As I was growing up in the NFL, I wasn't in the NFL, but as I was growing up watching the NFL, thank you very much, there was a cornerback by the name of Deion Sanders. He played for the Falcons. He was from Florida State. And when he was back at Florida State, he was a great player at Florida State. When he finally got out of there and he started playing in the NFL, he was a fantastic corner. And he got criticized for different things, but one thing they couldn't criticize him for was his play on the field. He could play the position he had, which was cornerback. He was one of the best. Ended up going to the 49ers and Dallas stuff and just breaking our hearts and stuff. But that's beside the point, When he would go back, the story is, when he would go back to Florida and he would see some of his friends would come to him and say, hey, I'd have been in the NFL if I had ran and done those kind of things. I'd have been doing this. I'd have made it to college and done this if I had gone out there and ran with you. You know, I was probably faster and I was probably stronger than you, Deion. I'd have done this and I'd have done that and I'd have done that. He said there was a whole lot of Idas back home. Whole lot of Idas, meaning I'd have done this and I'd have done that. If I had have done this, I'd have been this. I'd have been at pro. I'd have been this, I'd have been that, if I had a. Folks, there's a whole lot of Idas out there. I'd have been this, I'd have been that if I had. Look, I don't want life to be regret for you. I don't want to be regret for me, okay? There are things I already got in the past I wish I hadn't done, but I'm going to learn from those and move forward. This ain't going to be Ida. I'm going to try my best to be what God has called me to be, and I hope you're going to do the same. And here's the thing. Somebody would have said, I'd have invented that. I'd have invented that if I had thought about it. I mean, because there was a time when I thought about that idea, but I didn't get out there. How many people have said that? How many people have said, man, I had that idea long before it came out. Oh my goodness, you remember, babe, you remember this idea I had? And I was supposed to do it and all, and you never did it. Okay, a whole bunch of Idas. When you get that idea, you start working on it then. And if you get beat, that's fine because you tried to get out there. Somebody might say, I'd have made the honor roll. I'd have made the honor roll too if I had studied. Well, isn't that smart? Well, yeah, of course you would have had you studied because you had the brains to do it, but you didn't, okay? But you didn't. I got friends who in high school all the way through didn't do enough, and there are a couple of them. Once they got to college, they hunkered down and they studied, and they were like, man, this really works. And it did work for them. And some of them are doctors now as a result of that very mindset, doing it once they decided to get going and doing it. I'd have made an honor roll. I'd have done this. Next thing we got there is I'd have been teacher of the year. I'd have been teacher of the year too if I'd spent that many hours working, but I refused to work that many hours and I refused to put that kind of time into it. Don't get mad at me. I mean, this is the way it is. Somebody said, I'd have done this. I'd have been teacher of the year. I'd have been this position. It ain't just teachers. It's every position. I could have been the best at this. I could have been the best at that. And it's all a bunch of Idas. It's all a bunch of Idas. Here's the next thing. I'd have found that cure. I'd have found that cure too. These are the intellectuals up there who are trying to study things. I'd have found that cure too if we'd had the money, if we'd had this, if we'd had the resources. Folks, it's not generally about, and this is all the gurus say this, it's not about the resources you have, it's how resourceful you are. Are you willing to really put this into it? You can find that cure. All these people who are finding these cures, yes, they got great teams and great resources, things like that, but some of them don't. Some of them have very few resources, but they're very resourceful people. Okay, don't be an Ida. Don't be an Ida. Here's another thing. I'd have made it pro. I'd have made it pro. If I had really tried, I'd have made it pro. And there are those guys out there that keep going to high school games and college games talking that trash about if they had done this and if they had done that. Guess what? You didn't. But now, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? I don't care how old you are. Make the decision now that there will be no more Idas in your life. You are going to do what you're supposed to do. You're going to do what you were supposed to do. All right? So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no Idas about it. Just go and do it. Here's another one. I'd have got that job. I'd have got that job if I'd gone in there and had a great attitude. I'd have got that job if I'd gone in there and knew what dressed like I was supposed to dress and act like I was supposed to act and then worked the way I was supposed to do. I'd have kept that job. I'd have kept that job if I had just done what I was supposed to do. No more idas, folks. Let's start doing it. Let's start doing it. I don't want to look back and say, I'd have done this and I'd done. No. I want to look back and say either one of two things. Either I tried and it didn't work, and I tried again and it did, or, man, that worked out great. That worked out great. You're going to have failures, but you got to keep going. Oh, I'd have done this and I'd have been that. Ain't no proof behind an Ida. You got to go out there and do it. Go do it. Prove it. Be that. And then you can say, I was this, I did this, this is what I accomplished. Wonderful. And then set goals for the future so you still won't be saying Ida. Hey, I really like you guys. You're pretty good folks. See ya.